because I don't trust you and I don't think you respect me, because you all do, or else. And but that's what we need to do. Okay,
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Like, I know what problem is this, but like when
Next week.
even if you like do it rigid, you guys might not like because it's like right there.
I'm sorry. Say it again. I didn't hear.
Even if we like get it draped, you have to sign off.
I'm not sure how specific we're going to be about that. I'd like to be lenient and say drinks don't matter, so the sheet doesn't fill up.
Sounds like
Right? I know. I think it's mostly from traveling from class to class, and it's mostly a homeroom issue that we're having. But in general, right? So one of the things that I do like about this is that it might make you think twice about going to the bathroom during class and try to go outside, right? Which would be a benefit to us all. Do I think that we need that stick to make that happen? No, you should all be mature human beings and realize like you're missing homework review time and you're getting free homework help here, right? But like, whatever, okay. Reflections, how do we feel about basic reflections? Not the crazy graph the parallel line or perpendicular line and all that crap, but this stuff. Do we feel good about the first two? I know we did them in class the other day. Do we feel good about the rules and understanding them? Changing the x's and the y's, negating, yes.
I know you explained this yesterday, but I still kind of don't understand what
Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at number 4. What kind of a flip are we doing here, vertical or horizontal? Vertical flip. So we're going to change the height, right? Do we change left to right? No. So our rule is going to change the y but keep the x, okay? See how this is a positive 3 for our height? And when we flip it, it's the same thing, but negative. The same thing but negative. So we start out x, y, and we end up here. Beautiful. And the x stays the same, right? Negative whatever. It's the same for both. Is that better?
Yeah, but like I'm still confused on like when the numbers change.
Like the x and the y flip?
No, like on number 1 where it says x minus 6.
Number 1? Oh, okay. Okay, so that's translations. So real quick on translations. A going to A prime. Remember, direction matters.
Sorry. I was like,
That's wonderful. Great. I'm glad you do.
okay.
Thank you for asking, because if we had had that exchange, maybe you wouldn't have thought about it that way. Again, it's not a waste of time. It is not. Okay. How do we feel about negating and all that stuff? We're going to get more complex
I got
in a second. Number 6 is weird. That was for self-development. We're going to talk about that later.
actually,
Yes.
I did it.
For real. You found the rule?
Yeah.
You want to tell me? See if you got it?
I don't think it's right, but I got x and negative y.
X negative y?
Yeah.
All right, so that's the same rule as this. They're both horizontal, because we realized yesterday that this is actually the real line of reflection. Nellie, I lied to them on this one. This isn't the real line of reflection. This one is. It was to see if they could figure out what the idea was. So that's the real line of reflection, okay? Because we're going from A to A prime. The flip is happening this way, right? Great idea. But if you check it out, it actually doesn't work, because A's coordinates are negative 2, 6, I think. Am I right about that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or is it 5?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 5.
It's 5. All right, and then A prime's coordinates you can see are negative 2, 2. So we didn't negate the y. That's not what happened there. Now, my hint to you is it has something to do with this, because at the heart of it, it's still the same kind of flip, right? It's a vertical flip. So there is going to be a negation there. But how do we get from 5 to 2? Look at C. C is 2, 2, and it goes to 2, 5. How do we get from there to there? Again, something with the negation of y, and then a little bit something, something extra, okay? This is the foundation for it. If you can figure it out by the end of Monday, you'll get self-development points. If you can explain the full, like why that makes sense, then I'll give you 3 points. If you just get the rule, I'll give you 1.
So it is x and negative y, but more stuff.
Yeah,
on
it's
the y.
more. There's more to it. Because at the end of the day, it's still a vertical flip, right? But there's more going on there. And the question is what? And I think you're going to start to see a little bit of that today when we go into advanced rotations. But yeah, that's the idea there. Let's turn the page and let's look at rotations, which is the thing we actually learned the other day. So Nellie, I will do one of these right now with you, okay? So is there one you want to see, rest of class? 7, 8, 9? Nothing in particular? Going once, going twice? Okay, cool. So I'm just going to do number 7. So Nellie, the way we do this is we assume a center of rotation of the origin unless otherwise specified. Today, we're going to switch that up, and it's going to blow everybody's mind, okay? But right now, we're keeping it simple. Center of rotation here. So imagine a line connecting from here to C, and we're rotating like using that line. That's what's going on. Now, instead of making a line, which will be at an angle, those are difficult, what we're going to do is we're going to break it down into L's. Basically, break it down to right triangles. There's some Pythagorean theorem nonsense going on here behind the scenes. So I'm going to rotate B. And the way I do this, I make an L, right? And I'm going to rotate the L, whatever it says to do. And then B prime will be wherever the L ends up. Okay? So that's the words. Let's do math. Words are hard, math is easy. So I'm rotating counterclockwise. That's the way a clock doesn't go. So I'm going this direction. So when I rotate that L, it's going to swing down here. If I start horizontal, right, just looking at the blue line, and I go this way, I'm now vertical, and I'm pointing downward, right? Same length, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just going down. Cool? Now, if I was vertical here, and I rotate this way, sorry, I'm going my perspective, using your perspective. If I'm here, and I rotate this way, I'm now horizontal, and which direction am I pointing? Your left. Good. Left. Same length. Length doesn't change here, right? It's just location. And so now we know B prime is here. A prime shares the same blue leg, so we already have that done. And then it extends 3 further. So A prime is going to be there. C prime shares the same blue leg but splits early, right? It splits after 3. So after 3, I split, and I'm still going to go to the left, right? Correct, I should say. I'm still going to go to the left, correct? Okay. 3. So C prime ends up here, and here's our triangle. Kind of counterintuitive. You might not realize that when you first think about flipping it, but not only do we rotate our points, but the triangle swings with it. Does that make sense? Rad. How do we feel?
Groovy.
Groovy? Wonderful. It might help to color it in as well, because coloring's fun.
Coloring is
Right. Therapeutic. Your sister did such a great job yesterday.
Yeah, she really appreciated it.
I'm so proud of her. I would never say this out loud, but you and your sister are absolutely wonderful people. And I told your mom that. All right.
y'all look identical.
I miss teaching calculus so much. Oh my God, I love calculus. It's so much big picture.
What did you teach at your old school?
Well, the school before this, I taught algebra and geometry, right, for the first time ever. It was only 2 classes I'd never taught. And then, because that's how it works every year. It's always the classes I've never have notes for or homework for. It's like, oh, you're teaching this now. Fantastic. We'll create it all again. But I taught AP calculus and trig and all that stuff before my first couple jobs. Before I had a math degree, that's what I taught. And now that I have one, I teach algebra and geometry. So anyway, wonderful. And I love it because it's so big picture. Anyway, how do we feel about rotations? Let's talk about the rule real quick. Disgusting! So here's A, here's B, here's C. A's coordinates are -6, 6. B's coordinates are -6, 3. C's coordinates are -3, 3. Okay, I'm doing it real quick. A prime, we found out, became -6, -6. B became -6, -3. C became -3, -3. So the rule, what happened here? We started out with our regular XY, and then what happened? Do you see it? Yeah.
Isn't B prime -3, -6? Or am I just dumb?
You're right. What happened? Here it looks like we just negated the second guy, right? But that is misleading. It is a coincidence. It's because the numbers are the same. What really happened here, you can see in B, not only did we change signs, Nellie, but we flipped the numbers, didn't we? So X and Y that were here switched spots here. And not only that, but the 3 became negative. So we changed its sign. See how this 3 is negative and it's in this spot? So that means we have to negate this guy. Negate means change the sign. Proud of each and every one of you. Thank you for paying attention. I think you guys are starting to get this. That's the rule. Now the question is, why is that the rule? Why do they switch signs? Or why do they switch signs and why do they flip? Let me illustrate. So this quadrant is where it started out, right? And whenever we rotate 90 degrees, it's just going to change the quadrant, right? as long as our center is here, when we rotate 90, it's going to end up over here, right? Or it's going to end up here. You see how a rotation by 90 degrees just changes the quadrant? It's going to change more about it, okay? These aren't really rotations. I just did dots real quick, right? But the idea is when we rotate 90 degrees, it's just going to change the quadrant, right? So I'm in this quadrant to start. This quadrant has negative x, positive y. That's a plus sign. Got it? Okay? When we change to this quadrant, after a rotation of 90 degrees, this quadrant's double negative, right? So you can see one of the signs changes. The y changes, doesn't it? From positive to negative. So the y changes. Why do they change sides, though? I'll give you a hint. Look at B's L and look at B prime's L. Why do the x and y change spots? What once was x is now y. I'll give you a couple seconds to think about it. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. That's okay. This is an x value, right? Because it's horizontal. It's negative 6. When I rotate it, is it an x value still? No, because it's vertical. It's now a y value, isn't it? So what was once x is now y. What once was horizontal is now vertical. What once was vertical is now horizontal. So this positive 3 here is now a 3 down here, but it's negative and going horizontal. So not only do the signs change, but instead of being a y value, because it's vertical, now it's the x value of this guy's coordinate. So the x's and y's change spots. This was a negative 6 in length. And when we rotate it, sorry, Macy, when we rotate it, it's now here, still negative, right? But now it's a y value. So the x and the y change spots. And then this guy changes its sign, this guy doesn't. So what once was an x is now our y, and what once was a y is now our x. The numbers change. What once was negative 6 for our x is now going to be negative 6 for our y. What once was positive 3 for our y is now going to be negative 3 for our x. If you're getting about 25% of that, that's great. Let's look at number 8. I'm not going to rotate A or B. I'm going to rotate just C. So here's C. When I rotate 180 degrees, doesn't matter whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise, 180 is 180. It's going to end up in the same spot, okay? The blue line is horizontal. When I rotate it 90, it's vertical. 90 again gets us to 180. So I was horizontal and pointing this way. 90 again. I'm horizontal again, but now I'm pointing which direction? Your left. Still 6, right? The vertical line, the red line, it's down. When I go 90, I'm now horizontal, and I go 90 again. Which direction am I pointing? Vertical. It's vertical, but which direction, up or down? Up. So what once was pointing down will now point up. Again, think of the individual line. Look at the red line. It's pointing down, 180. Now it's pointing up. Yeah.
You don't have to do C, do you?
C?
Like, you don't have to use that point? Because I used A. So it just made a line.
In theory, you're going to rotate every single point.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know.
Did you rotate A and then just drew the rest in?
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of people do that. Did you get that C prime was up and not down?
Yeah.
Okay, most people screw that up. If you can eyeball it, great, but you're playing with fire, okay? But good for you. I use C prime because I just want to illustrate this point. I know we already did this together yesterday, right? I just wanted this one because A and B are kind of boring. C prime, let's talk about that. C, its coordinates were 6, negative 2, and C prime, its coordinates were negative 6, positive 2. What's the rule? I'm going to tell you that you only need to see this point to get the rule. There's no hidden trickery here. What's the rule? What do we do? Negative x, right? We made this guy negative. We changed its sign. What about this? Same y, except what? The sign's different. So what we need to do is negate it to change the sign. Negation means change the sign. Why? Because when you plug in -2 and negate it, what's a negative times a negative? It pops out a positive. You see how negation changes the sign? I don't want you to think of it as make it negative. Because sometimes it doesn't, right? If it's already negative, it's going to be positive. Negation means change the sign. So this is the rule. Take your original stuff and change both the signs. That's what happens when you rotate 180 degrees. Do we understand that concept? Okay, cool. The question is, why is that the case? Here's a point. We're going to rotate 180 degrees. This was 90. This is 90 again. That's 180 degrees. The point ends up here. Let's talk quadrants. Double positive, negative positive. Sorry, not negative positive, negative negative. Both the signs change. Do we see that? If we started here and went here, once again, both the signs change, right? If we started here and went here, both the signs change, right? After 180 degrees, both the signs change. Do the x and the y flip? Well, they don't, because we just saw they don't, right? But why don't they flip? Because when we draw our blue line, see how it's horizontal? And after we draw it, is it still horizontal? What was x is still x. What was y is still y. Maybe. A little bit, right? I'll take a little. Let's go on and do new stuff today. Are you ready to have your mind blown? I need you to be here. If you're not here right now and you're playing distracted, don't be. Hopefully you didn't play distracted for this, because this is going to be essential for understanding today. Before you pull out your phone, before you start screwing around, ask yourself, can I hack that? Can I handle that? And if you can't, then put it away. But you do you. You do you. I'm not here to steal phones, just Danny's because I enjoy it. Here's what we're going to do. Dang she thick for a couple reasons. One, I gave you the answer key to this guy. Two, and I did it on purpose. And two, I didn't print double-sided. I'm sorry. I tried putting it back in the tree, but it didn't work.
I think I'm missing now, right?
Or you can turn it in Tuesday. Doesn't matter to me.
I'll forget it.
You can hang, yeah, that's fine. Or you can hang on to it and use it as a guide. It's up to you. It's up to you. I do not. All for your help. Lofty goals today. We get high hopes, as they say. I'll try. Hello, Diana. I'm sorry you're so tired today. Boney Bear. That's how I say it. Okay, go ahead. It could be assist on what? Okay. And I'm not a doctor, but I almost was one, and I have experience with this. Not personally, obviously, because what I'm about to say is going to make that clear. But the other thing you could worry about is ovarian cysts, right? Right. Let me know.
Because my mom had something wrong with her kidneys, but she had to get one removed.
Yikes. Okay, well, hopefully it's not that. Ovarian cysts, in this case, might actually be a better thing, although they're incredibly painful and awful.
Because they can burst. My mom used to have cysts really bad in her knees, and so.
All right, here's what we're going to do. I gave you lots of examples because everybody loves examples. You're going to need lots of examples for practice for the quiz on Tuesday. Okay? But I hope you feel good about these rotations. These are going to be about an arbitrary point. Arbitrary means it doesn't matter, meaning that it could be any possible point. They tell you what it is. It's not going to just be the origin today. What? I didn't give you one? I think I gave yours to Nellie. Sorry. Here you go. So that's going to change things. It's not going to change how we rotate stuff. It's still going to be the L's, okay? If you got it before, you're going to get it now. If you didn't get it before, maybe you'll get it better now because you'll have more practice, right? I gave you the answer key because I want you to check your work. We're not going to have time to review it on Monday because we're going to go right into the review for the quiz. And also, again, this is for your health. I'd give you the answer key to everything if I had it made ahead of time. I don't. Sorry. What's going to be different is the rule. It's going to blow your mind. Okay? We're going to think about it for a little bit. Hopefully we'll have enough time to do it, and then I'll give you the answer. If I don't have enough time, I'll do what I did first hour, and we'll talk about it Monday, okay? It won't be on the quiz, though. The rule for these will not be on the quiz. It won't be. But I hope it starts getting you to think differently. All right, here we go. So we're going to do 2 of these together, and then we're going to analyze them and talk about the rule, okay? Hopefully we'll get to it. All right, so our center of rotation is no longer the origin. It's -1, -5. That's what they gave us. So I'm going to plot that. -1, -5 is down here. I'm going to call that R for rotation, not C for center, because we often use C when we label our points, right? So our new center of rotation is -1, -5. It's not going to change how we graph these things. It is going to change the rule. So everything up till the rule will be hunky-dory. Let's call this A, B, and C, like that. Does it matter what you call them? No, as long as you're consistent. Stay with me. That way we can all talk about the same stuff, right? That's why mathematicians label stuff to begin with, so we can all communicate. Ellie, do you have a question? Did I not get you one?
No, she's missing the first page.
The first page, okay. Yeah, sometimes that can happen when I have thick packets. Thank you, Tom. Sorry. Oh, no, okay. There's a meme there. Okay, let's not, no, let's do A first. So notice when we rotate A, we don't need to draw an L. We can just draw a straight line, right? The whole point of the L is to take out those slanty lines, right? But we don't have slanty lines. It's great. We can just draw a line, right? We're going to rotate that. We're going to rotate it clockwise. Clockwise is the way a clock goes, so that's this direction. So when we rotate that, it's going to rotate this way, 90 degrees. So what once was horizontal, sorry, I keep doing it from my perspective. What once was horizontal is now going to be vertical and pointing which direction? Up. Very good. So now we're here. And that's A prime. What once was horizontal is now vertical. Our x's change place with our y's. What once was horizontal is now vertical. Our x's change place with our y's. Makes sense, right? X is horizontal, y is vertical, they switch spots. Cool. Now we're going to go further. I'm going to make B's L. We are pointing to the right for our blue line. Sorry, pointing to the right for our blue line. We're going to turn it 90 degrees, and we're doing it this direction. So that blue line, just like the shorter version of the blue line that we did earlier, right? It's going to point upwards. It's just going to be longer. It has a length of 5, so it's just going to be 5 up. That's the blue line. Makes sense, right? We just extended this guy out. Macy, I'll zoom in some more. We just extended this guy out, right? And now we're going to take that red line. Red line is vertical, and we're going to turn it this way, 90 degrees. So which direction is it going to point?
Right.
To the right. Your right, my left. And then my right when I draw it. Confusing. Are we seeing that pinwheel?
Why am I shaking so much?
Yes. Right? So B prime is going to be at the end of that. Again, make sure your lengths are the same. 5 for the blue, 5 for the red. How do we feel so far? Decent?
Yeah.
Okay. C is going to be weird because now we're going to get a bunch of weird overlap, okay? So when we go from R, we're going to go to the right 6. And we're going to go up 5, and that's going to be the L for C. Try not to get lost while you're drawing it. What once was blue pointing to the left is going to go 90 degrees this direction. Did I hear I'm so confused? Okay. On A or B or C? Okay. Yes, you may. I'm going to try and buy more. I just got a paycheck today, but it's going to be gone in like 3 days. Yes. You can grab this too if you want.
Okay.
Help yourself for now.
Okay.
Cool. That's probably as close as you'll
I
get.
think we're good.
Okay. So Ellie, forget A and B for a second. Look at C. I drew my L. Are we cool with that? Okay. I'm going to rotate this in this direction. So that blue part's going to swing down. It's going to be the same length, but it's going to be pointing downwards now. You see that? Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from here. That's where it is now. And that's blue. Cool? Now, Ellie, this part was vertical, right? When I rotate that, I got to think from your perspective. It's going to rotate this way, and now it's going to be pointing that way, to the right. Same length, attached to the bottom of the blue, right? 5 to the right. Do you see how that swung down? 90 degrees clockwise. And that's where C prime is going to be. Do you feel better?
Yes.
Okay. Now we connect our primes. And that's where our triangle is now. I'm going to color that in so you can see it better. Because that stupid line from A to C kind of cuts through it. It can be misleading. How do you feel? Answer's right there. Isn't that satisfying? That's just satisfying. The paper's perfectly lined up. Macy missed it. Isn't that nice? That's so nice. How do you feel? Look at our L's. What once was horizontal became vertical. What once was vertical became horizontal. Our X's and our Y's switched spots. Yes?
So it's like goes from vertical to horizontal because it's 90 degrees.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So our rule is going to be X's and Y's switch spots because vertical became horizontal, horizontal became vertical, right? So that's our rule. But also we had a sign change. Which one changed? Well, let's look. Let's look at B going to B prime. B's coordinates are going to be negative, positive, because it's in this quadrant, right? B prime's coordinates are now double positive. The first one changed, didn't it? I'll pause. B was negative, positive, and B prime, it's hard to see, that's a prime right there. B prime became double positive. So the first one sign changed, right? So our rule is going to be this. X and Y switch spots because vertical became horizontal, horizontal became vertical, blah, 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 right? And then the first guy's sign changed. Second one stayed the same. First guy's sign changed. Second one stayed the same. Better? Landry? Okay. And that's our rule. Without having to use any numbers at all, just thinking logically about what's going on. That's going to be the rule. Okay? So if you wanted to, you could draw an L for B, figure out where B prime is, find the rule, and then apply that rule to the coordinates and just do your dots instead of having to draw so many L's. You could just find the first rule with the first B, right? First point, rotate that, find the rule, and then go, oh, we're going to take A, flip the X and Y, and negate one. There's A prime. Do it like algebraically with the numbers if you wanted to. Save you time on making all those L's, maybe make it less confusing so your drawing's not all over the place. Let's look at the second one. We're rotating 180 degrees. Origin is, our rotation is 5, negative 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is R. New center of rotation. we're going to do 180 degrees. It doesn't say clockwise or counterclockwise because it doesn't matter. If you start here and go 180, you're going to end up in the same spot if you go that way or this way, right? Doesn't matter if we start here and go 180 this way or we start here and go 180 that way. You're going to end up in the same spot. I know, right? Right? Where's the guy with the nunchucks? He's on top of his truck, right? Yeah, dipstick, right? Stay away from my truck, dipstick. You ever seen that Vine? No? Vines aren't funny anymore, says you.
TikTok is funny.
TikTok's just newer.
I like to watch it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's label these points. A, down here. B, here. And C there. Let's rotate A first. Little bitty red part, right? We're going from our new center of rotation. All right, so now we're going 180 degrees. So blue is going this way, right? It's pointing that way. It's horizontal. If we rotate 90 degrees, doesn't matter which way because we're going 180, right? It's vertical, then it's horizontal again. Which way is it pointing? To the right. So that blue part is just going to point to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Yeah, 6. And then that red part was once pointing down after rotating 180. Think about what that red part's going to do. It's going to go 90 to there and 90 to here. So it was pointing down. Now it's going to point up. Again, think about the individual parts. So A prime is going to be here. Now, let's think about what this means. What is the rule? What's going to happen here? So we don't have to draw all these L's. We started out with XY, and what happened? Well, did the horizontal part become vertical? Or did it stay horizontal? Did the horizontal part become vertical, or did it stay horizontal? It stayed horizontal. So the X, the horizontal, stayed horizontal. What was the vertical, the red part? Did it stay vertical or change? It stayed vertical. So it's still Y. The X's and the Y's did not change spots. But if you noticed, the direction changed. For both of them, right? Instead of going to the left, we're going to the right. Instead of going down, we're going up. Direction is plus or minus. So what once was here now has minus signs in front of it because we changed the direction. We negated it. Again, look, -6, +6. Down 1, up 1. The direction changed, so we have double negatives here. And that's what our rule is. That's what we figured out earlier when we were doing our homework, the 180-degree rotation. Remember that triangle? When we did C and C prime? X and Y didn't change spots, but we negated both, right? That was our rule for 180-degree flip. Don't memorize that that's 180-degree flips rule. Think about it. Know what it means. Horizontal stayed horizontal. Vertical stayed vertical. X and Y don't change spots. What once was going to the left is now going to the right. What once was going down is now going up. Double negatives, change it, right? Negate both. That's the rule. So using that, let's find out where these coordinates are going to be using algebra. So if C is at the coordinate 1, 4. Sorry, C is at the coordinate 1, 4. What's the coordinate of C prime going to be? -1, -4. -1, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's where C prime is going to be. Oh God, what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? Oh crap, it's not from the origin. It's not from the origin. It's not from the origin. I blew it. Okay. That's the logic. That's what we would expect. But it's not from the origin. I'm going to explain why. Crap. I gave away the trick. I pulled the rabbit out of the hat too early. Sorry, guys. Ignore what I said there. Let's do the rest of our L's. From here, C is going to go from here to here. We would expect it to be here, but it's not going to. And the reason why is because the origin's moved. I'm going to talk about that. Okay. 4 to the left. Now it's going to go 4 to the right. What once was up is now going to go down, right? So it's going to go down. I believe that's 9. There's C prime. Way down there. B shares the same blue leg as A, right? So it's going to be the same over here, but it's going to go up what appears to be 11. So here is going to go down 11 now. Again, it shared the same blue leg with A. It's going to go 2 past C prime. B prime. It's a B. And now we connect our dots. Again, the point is not the rotations today. I want you to get practice with it, which is why I gave you so many. So just trust me on this. And when you can, look up as soon as possible, because the rest isn't important. Yes?
So just making sure the movie is right. So you found C prime because you added 1, 4 to 5, 5.
No. It had nothing to do with this. Forget that. Forget that. Forget it. I'm sorry. I pulled the rabbit out too early. We did it because we did our L's. We took this and rotated it. We took this and rotated it. Just like we did for A. Better? Okay. Now, Macy said, well, isn't the rule change negative x, negative y? Shouldn't C just be 1, 4 but negated? Negative 1, negative 4? That's what we'd expect, right? But it doesn't. And the reason is because our center of rotation is different. So now I'm going to talk to you about the thing that isn't on the quiz but is super interesting and makes rotations worth learning. Okay? So buckle up. Here's the origin. Right? When it's the center of rotation of the origin, sure, we can use this rule. If only we could shift everything to make it the origin. If only we could take this guy and shift him over to the origin. Because if we could shift him there, then everything else would go with him. And we'd have easy peasy change the signs, right? How do we shift things? How do we slide things? What did we learn a couple days ago? Like about a week ago. How do we slide things? What's the name of that transformation? ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice means how do you say it? That's my hint. What do we call a slide? Anybody? When you say como se dice, you're asking for the translation, right? So we're going to translate. How do we translate? Vectors, right? Vectors are adding and subtracting. That's what we did earlier, the first page of our homework, right? So we're going to slide this over to here. When we slide it to the origin, we're sliding everything. So everything gets that vector applied to it. So this is going to slide, that's going to slide, all by the same amount. And it's going to slide these points too. And that'll give us the thing we were looking for, the change it, right? Change the sign. But here's the deal. Once we've slid them, we have to then slide them back so we get the correct coordinates. So here's what I'm going to say. Let's look at A. Actually, let's look at C. We know C is 1, 4, right? Cool. And we know our center of rotation is 5, negative 5. So here's what we're going to do. Buckle up. Do not write. Just watch. Here's the logic. C. Original coordinates, 1, 4. We know, let me zoom out, that when we finish, I'm going to call it C triple prime because we're going to make a couple pit stops on the way. We're supposed to finish here. That coordinate looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to the right, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 down. So 9 to the right and 14 down. You dig? That's how it should get from there to there. Obviously, changing the signs isn't going to get us there, but it's going to be part of it. We're going to slide everything from here to here. We're going to move our center of rotation to the origin to make things nice, because that's how we liked it in the homework, right? When I slide it, I'm sliding it by a vector. What is that vector that I'm sliding by? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. So we're going to slide by 5 to the left and 5 up. When we apply that vector to this coordinate, what do? The 1 becomes a what? -4. 1 minus 5. That's how you apply a vector, right? 4 plus 5, 9. All right, so we slid it. Now everything is slid to the origin. Imagine everything sliding, right? Everything's hunky-dory now. Now we're going to do our rotation. And it's 180 degree, right? What's the rule for 180 degree rotation? Change the signs, right? Change the signs. Change the signs. Think about it. If I'm pointing to the left and I go 180 degrees, I didn't become vertical, right? I didn't change the x for the y. I just changed the direction, negative sign, right? So now we're going to take this, C double prime. I'm going to change the signs. So +4 minus 9. Now that's where it would be if our center of rotation was here and everything slid over. But now we got to slide it back to account for that. We got to undo what we did earlier. If we're going to slide it back, originally we slid it by -5, 5. So now we're going to slide it back. What's the vector we're going to slide it by? 5, -5. We're going to undo what we did before. We're sliding it back to that original center of rotation. And when we do that, we get C triple prime. Add 5, subtract 5. Oh, no, you can't see it. Add 5, subtract 5. Which is what we said we'd get. 9, -14. So we take our center of rotation, we slide it to the origin, because that's where everything's nice, right? Then we apply our rule, and then we slide it back. It's almost like we had taken the axes and moved them down here temporarily. And everything slid with it. We'll do more of this after Thanksgiving break. Don't worry about this rule for now, but I think you guys have a decent idea of what's going on. Your quiz is going to be rotations about the origin and rotations about an arbitrary point. You don't need to provide the rule for rotations about the arbitrary point. That's it. I'll have translations on there like the beginning of our homework, right? And then I'll have where it'll give you the two shapes and it'll tell you to find the vector, basically, find the rule. And same thing with reflections, simple reflections. We'll review on Monday. Good job today.